Welcome to all of you. We have such a large group and it looks like people are still coming in and they're going to be admitted as they enter. Welcome to today's webinar entitled Division Comms Team Orientation and Training. My name is Sue Breyer. I know quite a few of you. Some of you may have never seen me or heard of me before. I am your new state CTC chair. And I just want to tell you how excited I am to see all of you here this morning joining me in this webinar. So today's webinar is basically going to provide you with an overview of the responsibilities of the communications and technology team for the division communications and technology team. I often refer to that as the comms team. And it'll talk about the responsibilities of the team as a whole. I'm not focusing on specific jobs in this particular webinar, although that probably will come down the road a bit. The job description and all of the information I am presenting is taken directly from the CTC handbook. And I will show you in a moment how to access that. Let me go ahead and share my screen. And we will get going in just a second. So you have 4 handouts for today. One is a note-taking guide that might be helpful to you, and it follows along with the PowerPoint. Yes, the pictures on the note-taking guide are very, very small. They're just basically, the note-taking guide is just for that. It's just to jot down some notes as we go through each of the slides. If you would like a full PowerPoint presentation with the full slides, I can send that to you. You can just send me an email after the meeting, or I'll just go ahead and send it. You should also have a kind of a position description. I don't like to call it necessarily a job description, but of the actual division comms team. Now you'll notice that on your, if you printed out the recent one that I just sent, I think it was yesterday, it has some red writing on it. Some of the bullet points are in red. Those are proposed changes to the job description, kind of updating things, bringing it into 2021 standards. The handbook is in the process of being revised right now. The last revision was done in 2014. So needless to say, we need to kind of bring it up to speed. Those revisions are supposed to be done by August 1st. Then we'll clean everything up, revise the handbook, submit it to the board for approval. And once the board approves it, then it will be distributed to all the divisions electronically, and hopefully all of your comms team members will have a copy of that, an electronic copy. So that's coming up for the fall. So you want to look at that. You also have a little checkoff sheet that kind of goes along with your job description. And I'm going to talk about this right at the very end of the presentation, so make sure that you still have that handy. The last item is simply a resource. It's not something that I'm discussing today. This is what I call a one-stop shop. Keep this handy and share it with other comms team members or board members, anybody who is accessing items on the CalRTA website. If you're looking for information about newsletters, all of those links that are listed on that one-stop shop, those are all of the resources that are on the CalRTA website with regard to newsletters. Maintaining a division website, Zoom, and more on the back. So make sure that you take a look at that. It's a nice resource for a quick reference if you need to find a video or a handout. So those are the handouts for today. And as I said earlier, because we are such a large group, we're already over 70 in attendance. We could get 10 or 15 more. I'm going to keep you muted for the entire presentation, just because with such a large group, it's kind of difficult to address any kind of verbal questions. So you will stay muted for the entire process. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin. So there's an old slogan, and a lot of you will remember that. We've come a long way, baby. Stop and think of where we were a year and a half ago. A year and a half ago, we were all hit by this pandemic, and we were forced to step out of our comfort zones. And we did, and we were most uncomfortable to start with. We had to learn to rely on, cell phones, iPads, tablets, computers, smartphones, just to stay in touch with family, to stay in touch with friends and colleagues. It was a very, very difficult time. And we learned that Zoom meant a whole lot more than fast cars or an attachment to your camera for really, really close-up photos. Zoom for us came to mean connecting and communicating with others, whether that be family or friends or colleagues. It meant learning new skills. It meant becoming just a tad more tech savvy. And actually, I think we all are much more tech savvy than we were a year and a half ago. It meant keeping CalRTA, our organization, alive and well and functioning. I can't imagine what it would have been like had we not had Zoom meetings for the last year and a half. All of this was done, as we well know, in the midst of a worldwide pandemic. But the good news is, through it all, through all of the stuff that we have been through, the goal and the duties of CTC and division and area communications team members actually never changed. We stayed connected. Thank goodness we stayed connected. And we learned that keeping the lines of communication open had never been more important, whether that communication came via technology or good old-fashioned phone calls and letters and postcards. We soon came to realize that areas and divisions within our organization needed support. They needed more support, and they needed continual support. Boy, everybody was struggling through this and trying to learn new things. More than ever, CalRTA's leadership, your area directors, your division presidents were in dire need of help in this new world of virtual meetings and Zoom. And you know what, we took on this challenge and we attacked it head on with everything that we had. In a matter of weeks, we held webinars and trainings and tutorials on how to hold Zoom meetings. We provided guidance. We provided direction for CalRTA leaders who all of a sudden found themselves having to learn a whole new way to communicate with their division members. And of course, we sat down and had brainstorming sessions, and we thought of ideas whenever and wherever we could on how to remain connected with our members. It was a time of great trials, as we all know, and we came out better in the end. I truly believe we did. We are much more knowledgeable, we're much more confident, and I think we're ready to move ahead now. And as many of you know, we held our very first online virtual state convention just a month ago. We elected officers in this virtual setting. It was kind of cool. And now many divisions have also conducted their board elections. Some are waiting to the fall, but some have already conducted their board elections. And some of those positions are filled with first timers. Maybe you're a first timer in this position of a division communications and technology member. You're excited to help out, I know, otherwise you wouldn't have stepped into the position. But you might be just a little bit nervous and anxious about your new position. If you've been in this position for a while, maybe you don't really remember what your membership on this team is all about. So where do you begin? Well, as a new or a current member of your division communications and technology team, the best place to start is with the handbook. And as I said, it's going to be revised, but you can still access the handbook as it is right now. The position for communications and technology team members actually covers about 30 pages because it is a team. I want to emphasize that it's a team. There are numerous members as part of that team. Now, up here at the top of your screen is what we call a pathway to find that handbook. If you go to the CalRTA website, calrta.org, and you log in as a member, so you either click the word member or you click the login button, you're taken to the members page. And on the left-hand side, you're going to see a blue menu with the word division resources up at the top. If you go down a couple lines, you're going to see programs and committees. And when you open up that page, you need to look for communications and technology committee. When you click on that, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, you will see a link to the PDF of the handbook. Okay, so you can access it that way. You don't have to print out the whole thing, obviously, but you can scroll through and look at the pages that are identified throughout this presentation. It might be helpful to you. So go in, make sure that you check it out. It's a great place to start, and it will simply reinforce everything that I'm presenting this morning. So I keep talking about this comms team, this communications and technology team. What exactly is it and who is in it? Well, as an attendee at this orientation, you are probably most likely a member of your division's communication and tech team. This team may be comprised of one or more of the following typical division positions. You could have in your division a communications and technology chair. Maybe you just call them the communications chair. Most of you, if not all of you, have newsletter editors, somebody who produces your newsletter. Many divisions have a publicity person, a person specifically in charge of publicity, maybe other than the newsletter editor. A lot of divisions have historians. Maybe that position is kind of phased out in some divisions. Well, you may, with electronics, it's a lot easier to keep all of the information now in electronic format. So you might have a historian. Division web manager, this is a critical position. I will spend a little time down the road talking about those duties. This person maintains your division website. Public relations, some have public relations or a community liaison, somebody who works with the community and establishes those connections with organizations in the community. There's that community liaison. And you might even have developed a position for a technology person, somebody who really just works with technology in your division and helps out in techie type issues. So as with many divisions, one person might assume a number of these roles. In Division 33, I actually hold about 4 of these positions. So that's not uncommon. And then there will be some divisions where a lot of people step up to volunteer, and you might have a different person for each of these positions. It doesn't matter how it works, just as long as some of these responsibilities are being covered by your division. It doesn't matter, but everybody works together as a team. Each of these positions works together. They all play a vital role in communicating with division membership and the surrounding community in some form, getting the word out about CalRTA and what we do and who we are. And remember that together, everyone achieves more. We do so much more and we're much more successful as a team. So let's see, and yes, the screen is blank for a reason, but let's see exactly how this comms team, this communication team might work. So let's say that your community liaison, okay, your community liaison, that's the person who goes out into the community and makes those connections. This person on your board has worked really, really hard with your public relations guy. to establish connections with a variety of community groups and organizations. They've been out there branding or marketing the CalRTA name, the CalRTA logo. And as a result, one community organization, let's say a local PTA group, has invited your division to be a part of an upcoming program that they're hosting. Well, your publicity person, your publicity chair then begins advertising the event, contacting local newspapers, maybe a local radio station, posting it on Facebook. Here's what's coming up. And then this publicity guy joins with the newsletter editor and the division web manager to extend this advertising to the division newsletter, this guy, and upcoming events, and that would be your division web manager, the upcoming events on the division website. So after the event has taken place and the publicity chair and the newsletter editor then work together to create follow-up articles and photos about the success of the event, which are then published in the local newspaper, in the division newsletter, and on Facebook, and also on the division website. Now, at this point, the division historian collects all of these news articles and photos and adds them all to the division notebook, whether that's an electronic notebook or a hard copy or both. And this becomes then a historical record for your division. So as you can see by just looking at this, it's definitely a team effort to get things done for your division. So now that you have an idea of what a comms team is and kind of how it works, let's take a look at the roles and responsibilities. And again, this is coming from the kind of the roles or the job description sheet. Okay, and I'm just going to be elaborating on them. Well, let's begin with attendance at meetings. So you have an area CTC rep, an area CTC rep, or an area CTC chair. That person may schedule and hold meetings periodically. It might be once a month, it might be every few months, a couple times a year, but they usually hold a meeting, oftentimes a Zoom meeting. During that meeting, they share information from their roundtable meetings. Those are the state chairs all gathered together, what we call the roundtable meeting, where a lot of information is shared and problems are solved and things like that. When they hold these meetings, and the meeting is offered by your area CTC rep, it's important that all division comms team members, attend, so that all team members are receiving the same information and are all on the same page. So if you are a newsletter editor, you're a division web manager, you're the publicity chair, you're the community relations chair, you should attend these meetings if your area CTC rep happens to schedule and hold one. These meetings are not just for division presidents. It's important that the team be a part of this and that they hear this information. So in addition, your area director will probably host a fall area workshop. Most areas, if not all areas, host a fall area workshop. At that workshop, oftentimes this area CTC rep is asked to hold maybe a small little breakout session or a little discussion group with division communications team members. Okay, so this is another opportunity to attend a meeting where information is shared, maybe about upcoming trainings, other CTC news, maybe tips and tricks for technology use. You could, as a team member, benefit by attending those kinds of tiny, small group workshops during your area fall workshop. So what I'm getting at is that it's all about being informed and keeping you in the loop, not just your president, who then has to send the information out and you're getting it maybe third hand. But if you're at these meetings, you're going to get it firsthand, and that's critically important. So as a comms team member, you are not, let me just caution you, you are not expected to plan and conduct community service projects, but you may be asked to play a part in it as a communications or technology person. Reaching out to the community is actually part of the communications element of the position. You might want to help out at local schools, at the local hospital, maybe at a museum that's in your community. You might want to volunteer as a tutor or participate in community recycling or a youth organization or any kind of organization like that. Well, what you need to do then is to study, to brainstorm, to read up on local concerns that involve your local community, and then propose those ideas to your board for projects that your division might be interested in. Now, as a comms team member, you could help certainly to publicize the event. You could create flyers, you could write up announcements for the local newspaper, you could post it on your division website, you post it on Facebook. So you could be part of the publicizing of some of these community service projects, anything to get the word out. You could also, you might also be responsible for the collecting and recording of volunteer hours. Well, some of you are probably thinking, well, I thought we stopped that. Well, we did for a couple years, 2 or 3 years, I guess. That project of collecting and recording volunteer hours is going to return come January 1st of 2022. So for the calendar year, January 1st, 2022 to December 31st, your division can start collecting those volunteer hours. We don't need an itemized list of every different way or every different community project that they volunteered hours for. We're just looking for the total number of hours contributed by each division. So that's something that you could do as part of this community service element. And up here on the left, if you notice, I've got the page reference in the handbook. So if you want more information about the community service projects and element, take a look at those pages in the handbook. So let's talk about public relations and the community liaison responsibilities. These two could be one and the same, or they could be two different positions working very closely together to establish connections within the local community and the surrounding areas. So connecting with local schools, maybe making those connections with local school administrators, superintendents, principals, local businesses, other community and education groups. All of this brings CalRTA into the public realm, into the forefront, and is actually an effective form of, again, what we call branding or marketing the CalRTA name, its logo, its purpose, and its mission. So with more recognition of CalRTA and what we're doing and its purpose, the more opportunities for CalRTA's increased participation and partnering with local organizations. So it really is important work that these people do in making those connections in the community. But don't forget that there are also public relations opportunities within our own division. PR isn't just on the outside, it's also within, reaching out to members with phone calls, with personal notes, with greeting cards, email blasts on a regular basis, special recognition, maybe for somebody, the group in your division who are 90 years old and older, recognition of them, and even just simple greetings like an ambassador position at your membership luncheons. All of that can increase satisfaction within your membership. Now, these are familiar to you, Retired Teachers Week and Day of the Teacher. Each year, division communications team members combine their skills and their talents to honor teachers, both current and retired, during Retired Teachers Week and Day of the Teacher. Now, each of these activities, as we all know, involves making a connection, oftentimes with local schools and community organizations, recognizing the contributions of current or retired teachers, other community members, publicizing events, promoting volunteer efforts of CalRTA members and other retired educators. Now, these two events here can be celebrated in a number of different ways, and I've got some ideas listed here in these two columns. So you can use press releases, work for both of these, newspaper articles, newsletter articles, letters to the editor, social media posts. So there's a number of ways that the communications and technology team can really promote Retired Teachers Week and Day of the Teacher. So speaking of publicity, this is a big part, obviously, of the communications and technology team. Publicity combines the communication element of the communications team responsibilities with the technology element. Nearly all publicity that we have right now is generated using some form of technology, whether it's composing a press release, posting a division luncheon notice in the community events section of your local newspaper, publicizing local scholarships and teacher grants, promoting division volunteer efforts, updating your division website with articles and photos of recent division activities and events, and the list kind of goes on and on. Publicity is key. It's all part of getting the word out about CalRTA. So keep your publicity flowing throughout the year, even if that publicity is informing community members or even your own members with phone calls or postcards, sending email blasts out and publicizing events to maybe those who are a little scared of Zoom, but if they receive a notice of something, they might attend an in-person gathering. Be sure to share the news of your division's accomplishments and events by submitting short write-ups and photos to the CalRTA Contact magazine. The Contact magazine, it's down here, reaches our entire membership. And if you have an article, if your division has done something really exciting and you want to share that information and get yourself published, write up a quick article, maybe include a couple photos, and you can send it to Debbie Pate Newberry, and I have her email address down here at the bottom of the screen. So don't be afraid to submit something to Debbie Pate Newberry and try to get that into the Contact magazine for publicity purposes. So with regard to publicity, your division newsletter editor, your division web manager, and your publicity chair, and oftentimes your social media administrator, the person who keeps up your Facebook page, often share in all of these responsibilities. So let's talk about newsletters here for just a second. Division newsletters, as you well know, are critical communication tools for divisions and for CalRTA, the entire organization. They serve as a kind of branding or marketing tool for CalRTA because in essence, they are the voice of retired educators. They clearly present the organization's purpose and mission, and the purpose and mission are oftentimes reiterated in each newsletter that is published. These newsletters are often the mouthpiece of the division, communicating the division's various activities, highlighting its members, but they also represent the CalRTA organization as a whole, offering critical news on legislation, on teacher pensions, on Social Security fairness, and a number of advocacy efforts that we are aware of. They can easily, these newsletters can easily be posted on your division website, and should be, and on Facebook, on your Facebook page or group. And the good thing is they are distributed, if you stop and think, they are distributed to hundreds and hundreds of recipients, thousands if you're looking statewide, not just to members, but is your division distributing to friends, to school administrators, to community leaders, to teacher grant applicants, maybe even to your legislators? Are you sending them your newsletters out to other divisions? Share those newsletters, share them, get them out there as much as you can. Be sure to mail them also to your members who don't have email. And I know most, if not all, of our divisions send them out via snail mail to make sure that we are taking care of the needs of our non-techie people, those who don't have emails. Now, the CTC handbook is filled with all sorts of information on pages 31 through 34. There's a whole section in there on newsletter guidelines, what goes into your newsletter, what should go into your newsletter. There's even a newsletter checkoff chart, which I think you would find very valuable if you're a newsletter editor. It's a chart with all different elements that can and should go into your newsletter. So that might be something that you want to take a look at in the handbook. In addition, the CalRTA YouTube channel includes 4 short tutorials all about newsletters and publishing your newsletter, creating it, posting it on Facebook, what goes into it, and how to kind of add some pizzazz to your newsletter if your newsletter is kind of, or if you're thinking it might be ho-hum or in need of a facelift. So you might want to check out those 4 tutorials, and they are on the CalRTA YouTube site, on the state website, and on your division website. Just look for that YouTube logo there. And of course, let's not forget the outreach that social media offers CalRTA. 2/3 of the CalRTA divisions, 2/3 of our divisions have a Facebook page or group. I think that's awesome. They share a wide variety of posts with not only their group followers, but remember, they're also sharing this information with the general public. People who are scrolling through might come across your Facebook page or your Facebook group, see CalRTA, look at all your posts and go, wow, that looks like a pretty cool organization. So this is just another form of branding or marketing. And I keep repeating this because that's kind of what we do with communications and technology. We brand and we market CalRTA's mission, its purpose, and we generate name recognition in doing all of this. So divisions post their monthly newsletters on Facebook, information about division or state scholarship and teacher grants, including sometimes links to the actual application form or a link to an announcement of current scholarship or grant winners. Divisions advertise upcoming membership meetings and luncheons or community service events and activities. Many divisions have included photos on their posts. These are always popular, especially when they're posted in an attractive and eye-catching collage. And if you don't know how to do a collage, my next version of the update newsletter coming out in early July, I'm addressing the idea of putting collages together with a number of different photos on there. Those are always very eye-catching. Some divisions copy and paste links to recent CalRTA webinars or other resources of interest to the public. If you go into the CalRTA YouTube channel, you could get a link to any of those webinars or short tutorials. You could get the link and post it onto Facebook. Share that information with the public, especially a lot of those that are put out by Susie Dixon or David Walrath. I mean, those are really great tools to share and pieces of information to share. And if you can't think of anything to post, and some people say, I don't know what to post on my Facebook page, you can always share a state Facebook post, a CalRTA state Facebook post. You can share it to your page or to your group. All you have to do, and if you don't know how to access their site, when you get into Facebook, up at the top where it says search, just type in the full words, California Retired Teachers Association. That will pull up the state Facebook page, look at whatever they posted, click the share button, and you share it to your page or to your group. So it's really easy to do that. And you can access informational videos on the CalRTA YouTube site about setting up and maintaining your division Facebook page or group. So go on to the YouTube site for CalRTA and scroll through until you find those videos that are pertinent to setting up and maintaining a Facebook page or group for your division. And that could be of help to you. Let's not forget, however, the old-fashioned methods of communication that work well and have worked well for years for our non-techie members. Don't forget greeting cards. So think about a greeting card. Many of us are going to probably have in-person luncheon meetings or membership meetings coming up in the fall. So stop and think about this idea that was mentioned at another training, and say you buy a box of greeting cards, just generic, like thinking of you, hope you're doing okay, those kinds of greeting cards. And at your tables, every seat has a greeting card and an envelope. When a person sits down, you give them the instructions to write a nice note to somebody who isn't there at the luncheon, somebody you haven't seen for a while, maybe a member who can't get out. Then they can put the name of that person on the front of the envelope, and then somebody at the end of the luncheon collects all those greeting cards, puts the addresses in, sticks a stamp on them, and sends them out. That might work, wonders for those who don't receive a whole lot of communication, don't receive emails, and maybe feel kind of lost in this technology world. Don't forget handwritten letters. Typewritten letters even, those are always a nice personal touch for divisions sending out information to their members. Just kind of a hi, how are you? Those email blasts that are 1 page long that you send out to your members, print them out and put them in an envelope and send them to those folks in your division who do not have email addresses. Postcards, did you know that you can print off the same message on a number of postcards? It's just, if you have a good printer, even at your house, or you have a good community printer, bring them a stack of postcards, say, here's the message I want on there, and they can print those, give them back to you. You guys address them and send them out. That's always a nice way to communicate. And of course, don't forget about good old fashioned, whoops. Sorry about that. And don't forget good old-fashioned phone calls. As we well know, those work. So many of our older and often long-standing members have not embraced this newfangled technology, but we need to make sure that we don't forget, we don't abandon them simply because they haven't taken the plunge into the world of computers, smartphones, and everything technology. We need to be mindful of their needs too, and we need to make sure that we are addressing them. So here's the division website. One of the most critical responsibilities of the division communications and technology team is, and more specifically, the division web manager, is to maintain and periodically update the division website. So this is what a typical website looks like. They all have the same elements in them. Web managers, your division web manager, can actually customize and update what we call the photo carousel right here. The pictures that are initially on these websites are CalRTA kind of stock photos. So they're you might go onto different websites and you'll see the same photos in this rotation. You can send photos of your division, make sure that they are horizontal in nature, like this one is, not your portrait, but the horizontal landscape. You can send those to questions for CalRTA and say, could you please add these to our photo carousel? So that can be customized. Your division web manager can do that. This informational text about your division can also be edited and revised. Once again, you can type up a new description or whatever information you want there. Maybe it's information about where your membership meetings are, the time, the place, the date, the address of the venue. You could have that there, or whatever information you decide, but that can be changed and edited. Up here on this blue menu bar, all of these areas here also can be edited by your division web manager. You can add resources or links to a variety of resources. Maybe you have handouts you want to add to this resources. Maybe you have video links you want to add to the resources here. Scholarships and grants. Maybe you want to upload an application form. Maybe you want to, maybe you have a flyer with pictures and biographies of your recent winners. You want to put those up. Photos. Now you can't add individual photos. Just want to let you know that. Can't add an individual photo. But what you can do is you copy and paste those photos onto a document, save it as a PDF, and that is what you can upload to this Photos tab right here. And then updates. So what do I put into updates? Well, maybe you want your board minutes to go into the updates. And so each month or every 2 months, when you have a board meeting and the minutes become available, you're going to add your minutes into this update button. So those are just some ideas on what you can do with these tabs here. This is probably, this leaders list down here is probably one of the most critical elements, simply because this is the information that is most commonly searched for by other CalRTA personnel and those who are brand new members coming into this division for the first time. So we need to make sure that we update this, and this blue View More button, if you have uploaded a PDF of all of your board members, all of them, not just your 4 elected leaders, which that's what shows here, but if you want all of your board members to be recognized, maybe with their photos or a brief biography or whatever, that's what you can access with this View More button. So there are lots of things that you can do there. And of course, newsletters over here, these are very, very popular, and they provide so much information about your particular division. So make sure that you have newsletters posted right here in this newsletters area of your division website. So I want to address something. Unfortunately, the maintenance of our division websites is one of the tasks that seems to be most often neglected. I don't know why. Maybe it's just that we get busy and we don't think about it, but I can't stress enough the importance of its continued maintenance. And here's the reason why. When a new person joins CalRTA and they sign up with the electronic application form, that form goes to Johanna Hobbs in the business office. She then puts together a letter, a welcome letter, with information about, well, first of all, she basically assigns a division to them, something that, you know, either where they live or where they retired from. She provides them a division number and then tells them information on how to access this website. So say you are that new person and you come to a website, not this one necessarily, but you come to a website and you think, oh my gosh, I want to see their newsletter. And you click on newsletters and there's nothing there. Well, I want to look and see if there are some photos of people I know, maybe colleagues that I used to work with, and you click on photos and there's nothing there. You click on scholarships and grants, nothing there. This is a reality with some of our divisions. Folks, that is not the first impression that we would like to give our new CalRTA members. So let's make sure our divisions are updated and current. And if you need help with that, there are ways to get help. One is you click on resources. It's up here on that blue menu. Click on resources. And when you click on that, you're going to see another big blue button that says support and training. When you click on that, it's going to take you to a training page with resources galore, how-to handouts, video tutorials, you name it, everything that you need to update your website is in this resources section. You can also click this Division Web DWM Communications form that's right under the newsletters here, DWM Communication form. And you also have a series of choices there to ask for help and to update some information that way. And if you still have a problem, you can go down here to this yellow link down here, questions for CalRTA @gmail.com, and a CTC specialist will get right back to you and help you out. So now we are currently in the process of rolling out, a simplified online strategy to update your division leaders list, okay? It's not all the way done. So over here in red, please don't try this process out until July 1st. Okay, after Tuesday's tutorial, we ran into a few glitches that we're trying to solve right now, but it's going to be easy. So if you want to update your leaders list that's on your division webpage, your elected leaders, or you want to upload a PDF that goes into that view more area, all you'll have to do is click on this DWM communication form. A form similar to this will open up and you'll make a choice as to what you need to do. Maybe ask a question, update your leaders list, submit photos to your photo carousel, whatever it is that you want to do, you'll be able to make that choice and submit it electronically. So that will be nice. Traditionally, division leaders have received a letter each year from Johanna Hobbs in the business office asking if you want to update your any of your leaders on your leaders list or your meeting information. We're hoping that eventually this process will replace the hand submitted hard copy. So we know that it will be kind of a training process here and a learning process, but hopefully it will work for you. So again, you can go in and take a look at it if you want to by clicking on it, but please don't submit anything until July 1st, okay, July 1st. So I mentioned earlier the volunteer survey. At one time, this was one of the most important things that CTC and Communications and Technology team did. The collecting, as it says here in the purpose, enhances the image of CalRTA and shares, and the hours are basically a publicity tool in marketing and communicating the image of CalRTA and the tremendous impact that it has on local communities. So as I said earlier, after a brief hiatus, we will be collecting and recording those volunteer hours, as I mentioned earlier, starting in 2022, and it will be just the total number of hours for your division. Up here, the CTC handbook has information about volunteering on pages 39 to 40. So you're going to probably want to check that out. Now, I purposely saved technology for the last because I want to emphasize that it is not necessarily the focal point of CTC. Sometimes it seems that it is because we do so much with technology, but it really isn't the complete focal point. It does play a critical role, as we all know, in CalRTA's goal to get the word out to the public and to our members. I mentioned earlier that communication was 50% of our job title. Well, technology is the other 50% of our job title. So to be successful as a communications team member, you do not need to be an expert in technology, but you do need a degree of technology comfort. Okay, that is helpful. If you feel that your tech skills are lacking, you do have a number of resources at your fingertips. So first of all, as I've said earlier, you have any tech questions, send an email to questions@calrta@gmail.com. This is for technology guidance. CTC specialists are there to answer your questions and provide you either the answer or point you in the direction of resources that might be able to help you. CalRTA's YouTube channel also has a number of video tutorials on Zoom, Google, newsletters, division websites, and much, much more. Some of them are only 15 minutes or less. They're very short snippets. They're not hour-long webinars. So make sure that you check those out as well. Also on the CalRTA state website, once you log in as a member, go to division resources. There's all sorts of how-to handouts, which are step-by-step instructions on how to do a lot of these things that are listed up here. Zoom, Google, newsletters, division websites, lots and lots of step-by-step instructions. There are also, as you well know, a number of webinars and trainings just like this one that occur during the year. So kind of be looking out for those and attend them whenever you can. And we need to have a learning mindset. Our excuse that I just don't know how to do it isn't usually the best excuse. If you want to learn how to do something, go into your computer, type in a question, how do I use a virtual background in Zoom? And oh boy, you're going to pull up a whole bunch of YouTube videos and how-to handouts. So don't be afraid to just Google it. Look for the solution. And if you can't find the solution, send us that email. Here is that checkoff sheet that I referred to earlier. I don't need to go through the elements. You all can read this just fine, but here are all of the elements that I pretty much covered in this webinar. So go through here. This is not mandatory. It's not homework. I'm not going to collect it. I'm not going to grade it with my red pen. This is basically a personal accountability sheet. How many of these things have you already done? What might you need to try next? And again, sometimes we just forget what our job is all about. And this might be an easy at a glance reminder of some of the things that we need to be doing. And remember, this is not for one person. This is a team. This is a team. So who in the team is responsible for which of these areas? So we only have about 7 minutes left, or yeah, about 7 minutes left. I want to thank you for joining me today for this webinar / tutorial. Here is my contact information. Make sure that you have that. Feel free to send me off an email if you're having trouble with something, if you're looking for resources, you can't find something, calrta.ctc@gmail.com. You can also call me. You can send me a text. I'd be more than happy to help you out however I can. I am going to stop sharing. If you have any questions, go ahead and put those in the chat. And oh my gosh, there you all are. You know, when you do these presentations, you don't see anybody. It's really hard to talk to a PowerPoint screen. But let me look here and see what we have in chat. Okay, and see if we have any questions. There we go. Oh goodness, we do have some. Okay. How many did we have on Tuesday? We only had about 24, 25 on Tuesday, which was fine because that was a smaller group. how is the leadership directory on the website updated? Very good question. And is it automatic after the leadership list on our division page is submitted? Great question. And again, this is all going to kind of come out when this is all finalized and all the glitches are worked out. But yes, that's the whole idea, is when you go into the division web manager, there's also a button on the leadership directory page that says update your leaders list. You can access the forms in either place, but once you submit that form, an email is going to go to Ron Scott to update your division, okay, webpage, leaders, and another email will go to Johanna Hobbs, who will update the leadership directory. So it's going to go both places, pretty darn cool. You know, and we're just trying to streamline things. We're just trying to make it work easily. So yes, it will be automatically updated that way. Let's see, I can't find programs and committees under the division resources tab. You don't have to click on division resources. So on the blue menu, so when you log into calrta.org and log in as a member, you're taken to the member page with all the boxes. On the left-hand side is a blue menu, division resources at the top, but don't click on that. Go down a couple items, and that's where you're going to see programs and committees. Okay, so it's on that blue menu. Let's see. What were those dates for collecting volunteer hours? January 1st, 2022 through the end of the year, December 31st, 2022. Now, if you want your divisions to specifically, you want to keep track of the areas that they all volunteered in, that's fine too. And there's a list of those possible areas in the handbook under the volunteer hours section. So if your division wants that kind of specific information, that's fine, and you can publicize that. We're just going to collect the total hours for each division. Okay, the total hours, and I'll let you know how that's going to be done later as we get into 2022, but we're not there yet. But then we'll collect those total hours, combine them all, add up all of the division's total hours, and submit that total to the board and let them know how much volunteering CalRTA members are doing. Okay, I don't see any more questions, and oh my gosh, we're 3 minutes early. That's really exciting. I never end early. So if you have any other questions, oh, when are they reported to the state? Good question. When I collect the volunteer hours, total them all up, obviously we'll be collecting those after the year ends. So the following January or February, I'll be asking for divisions to send those volunteer hours to me. And then probably around the 1st of March, I'll submit those totals to the board. Okay, and so that's when all of that will take place. But we've got to make sure that the entire year goes, you know, that we've completed the entire year and we've collected hours for the entire calendar year. Then I will request that you send me those totals and we'll take care of it from there. Yes, and so those will be posted in early 2023, the total for that 2022 calendar year. Okay, I hope that's clear. How do we use that volunteer data? Well, I mentioned it in this presentation that it's publicized. It's an element of publication, something that we spread the word about how CalRTA volunteers, what we do for our communities. We can send those totals to local legislators even, so they know who we are and what we do. They could go out into publicity posts. Debbie Pate Newberry oftentimes puts together little posts that we can send to our local newspapers. All of that, you can use that. You could use that in an article in your newsletter. You could post it in your local paper as well once we get that total. So that would be something, again, that's what we do is publicize. All righty, folks, we are at 10:59. We are 1 minute early. And if we don't have any more questions, calendar year or fiscal year, volunteer hours, calendar year, January 1st December 31st, calendar year, and then I'll collect them at the opening of 2023, tally them and post those. Okay. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you. I wish that we, with a smaller group we can talk, but I do appreciate you being here and spending an hour with me. And if you need anything else, you know how to contact me. Other than that, you guys have a great day. I appreciate you being here, and thank you for all you do for CalRTA. I truly appreciate it. See you all.